Hi, everybody. Holistic Industries was nice enough to share their PowerPoint on the 420 steps they use to bring a brand to market. So, what I'm going to try to do is walk through this process. I'm certainly not going to go over all 420 steps, but the fact that there are 420 steps tells you that it's a very exacting and detailed process. There's a lot on the line in bringing a new product to market. Holistic breaks this process down into 5 different stages. The first step, the idea, is where they come up with the concept for the brand. That can happen organically, or sometimes there may be an issue that they feel they need to address in their product mix. They do some market research to make sure it makes some sense in terms of customers and competition, and ultimately they have to sell it to the upper administration by building a strategic business case. In other words, they have to show how it's going to be profitable. Once they get the approval from upper management, then they have to go ahead and develop a positioning, all the brand and the brand elements, the brand identity. They have to figure out their tactical plan, meaning what are they going to use in marketing communications, packaging, which is a big issue for them, distribution and which stores, where in the store, all the planning and nitty gritty for launching the product. And they also have to make sure that it's something they can really do. They call that the formulation, research, and viability check. And then if everything's good, then they go ahead and try to outline what are going to be their key performance goals. What are the things that what metrics are they going to use to measure how they're doing? Once they've planned everything, then they have to develop the plan. And you can see that includes making sure that they have the product correctly in terms of formulation, get all the marketing ducks lined up on how they want to approach it, have a better understanding of their costs so they can then develop pricing and a better understanding perhaps of what the value will be to the customer, whether this is going in existing locations, markets, or whether it's going expansion means going to new markets, make sure that production is all set, and then also everybody's all set at the retail level at the stores. Once they've checked off all the boxes, it's time to launch. And part of that includes making sure that their own retail stores, all the bud tenders are trained, that the bud tenders at their retail customers get training from Holistic, and that their own sales force who calls on the retail customers is also trained for selling the new product. Once the launch is underway and ongoing, then the team conducts a post-mortem review. They look at what went well, what didn't go well, what they can improve, and what might happen in the future to derail this project. They develop cadence. Reporting is just a way of saying that they have reports on a regular basis that are synced up with the other reports and information that Holistic collects. And then, like any good marketing team, they'll make adjustments as they go along based upon the results that they're getting from their campaign key performance goals and other key performance indicators. Before we take a closer look at their processes, here's a glossary of their terms. Really, the key thing is look at all the different groups within the company, all the different functions that are involved in launching a new brand. Marketing, operations, retail, finance, compliance, business insights and analytics, science, wholesale, outreach, executive team, technology, and expansion is whether or not the product's going into a new market. So, here's what the whole process looks like. Again, note how many different parts of the organization are involved. So where do brand ideas come from? They come from everywhere. Employees, customers, outside investors, channel members, vendors, marketing research, Ivory Soap, came about because manufacturing made a mistake and put too many air bubbles in, and it rose to the surface, and customers loved it. Flaming Hot Cheetos, a big success for PepsiCo, was the idea came from a janitor who is now a vice president. Kyle Barrett, the CMO, said the idea for Dewdrops came from this candy store in New York City, Dylan's Candy Bar. He said there were candies labeled as mindful indulgences, relatively small bags of hard or soft candy that as a whole only contained 100 calories. So somebody could snack on them and, not feel guilty. And that really was the genesis of the idea behind Dewdrops, a low THC edible that if you wanted to, you could snack on whenever you felt like it. The other thing to note is all the different steps or stages that marketing is involved. Brand ideation, market research, building that strategic business case, the tactical plan, forming, making sure that the formulation for the product is correct, campaign tactical development, pricing, fulfillment and labeling, core branding and ID design, right? Positioning and branding, media events, right? And then the post processes, the post-mortem, and also making sure that all the proper metrics, the KPIs, key performance indicators, are being collected and measured. While marketing is the main driver in the business plan development, the crucial step of getting approval to go ahead with this, look at all the different groups that they have to work with to get information so they can build a strategic business case. They work with operations. They work with wholesale. They work with retail. They work with research and development. They work with business insights and analytics to make sure they have a product that makes sense. And then they have to take all that information and put it together and describe how it's going to benefit the company before they can move on to the tactical plan and the rest of the planning. Here is an example of the timelines. And you can notice that, first of all, most of the development of the marketing tactics is about 4 months or less. Which ones really stand out? It's the packaging and labeling. So first of all, everything in cannabis needs a package. And it needs to be child resistant. So it has certain design requirements. The only manufacturers with the scale and capabilities to make enough packaging materials are in China. So that means that it's a long lead time. So they have to plan early and it takes quite a while. So you can see from February, December, that's 10 to 11 months that it takes for packaging. Labeling also has to have certain labeling, and the labeling varies or differs right now by state. So packaging is also very expensive. It's the most expensive part for them in the new product launch. So that's a really big hurdle and item for them. And you can see that R&D and production, that once they figure out what they're doing, have the formulation, they have to be able to create the product and enough of them. So that takes a while. But this is just a sample of what, the timelines involved, the project management involved in bringing a new product to market. These last two slides show some of their resource guides. In other words, these are checklists, key tasks, and strategic questions that need to be answered in the development of especially the packaging for the product and or working with different vendors. I will let you guys look at that. It's a little hard to read, so I'll make sure that I put it in Blackboard for you as a PowerPoint so you can see them. But I think you have the idea of what an involved process it is for them in developing new products.